Topic 4. History, Culture, and Heritage of Early Hong Kong Region. History GPS. Studying the historical development of Hong Kong region. Chinese official records that detailed Hong Kong's early history were few. Non-written sources were therefore important to the study of the early history of Hong Kong. Some preserved traditional buildings, dialects, and customs help us learn about the livelihoods, education, beliefs, entertainments, and art of the early residents. We can find the imprints related to the historical development of Hong Kong through these approachable objects. Topic Inquiry. How do we find the imprints related to the historical development of Hong Kong region? How do we preserve local cultural heritage? 1. Mainlanders came to live in Hong Kong. Since the mid-10th century, many people from different provinces of mainland China had moved to Hong Kong. They were the major residents of early Hong Kong. They kept their own culture, customs, and dialects. Unique communities were founded in different districts. 2. The lives of the early residents of Hong Kong. As the residents of early Hong Kong had different backgrounds, they developed diverse lifestyles. Some built villages on land and mainly lived on farming. Some lived on boats and mainly fished for a living. 3. Intangible cultural heritage of Hong Kong. Today, Hong Kong residents still keep many traditional customs and festivals. Some are listed as intangible cultural heritage. They have different ceremonies, activities, performances, and so on. They unite different communities and are also the cultural symbols of Hong Kong and even China. They are of great cultural and social values. History Starter. 1. Every Mid-Autumn Festival, the residents of Tai Hang hold a fire dragon dance for 3 nights, with the Lin Fa Temple as the starting point. 2. The Lin Fa Temple was built in about 1863. It is a declared monument. 3. Tai Hang was a Hakka village in the past. They built the Lin Fa Temple. Do you know who the Hakka are? 4. The people who wear cool hats. Same as the Cantonese, the Phuc Lo, and the boat people, the Hakka came from the mainland and settled here several hundred years ago. They are the 4 major dialect groups of Hong Kong. 5. Yes, the 4 major dialect groups built a lot of villages. Today, we can still learn about the early history of Hong Kong through their buildings, such as a walled village of the Cantonese people, stilt houses of the boat people. 6. Besides historical buildings, many intangible traditional customs also have historical and cultural values. Yes, just like the fire dragon dance we are watching now. 7. These traditional customs may have started in small communities. They have been inherited and developed for many years. Many of them have become important intangible cultural heritage. The Cheung Chau Jiao Festival in the past. Present-day Cheung Chau Jiao Festival. 8. Some have become famous Hong Kong culture and attract many foreigners to take part in them. Guiding questions. Who made up the early residents of Hong Kong region? How did they make a living? A. Major dialect groups and clans. 1. Hong Kong in historic times. Hong Kong became part of the Qin dynasty in 214 BC. The historic times of Hong Kong began. At that time, Hong Kong was inhabited by ethnic minorities such as the Yue and Yao people. Since the 10th century, the Han people from the mainland moved to Hong Kong and became the major population of early Hong Kong. 2. 4 major dialect groups. Among the mainland migrants to Hong Kong, the Cantonese, the Hakka, the Phuc Lo, and the boat people were known as the 4 major dialect groups. They had their own dialects and lifestyles, and formed distinct communities in Hong Kong. Study Source 4.1 to learn about the routes taken by the 4 major dialect groups to Hong Kong. A. Cantonese. In the 10th century, some Cantonese moved from Guangdong to Hong Kong. As they were the earliest group to settle in Hong Kong, they were called Punti. They spoke Wai Tao dialect and settled in the fertile plains in northern New Territories. Some large families became famous local clans later on. See page 210. B. Hakka. The word Hakka means guest. During the 17th century, many Hakka moved from Guangdong and Fujian to Hong Kong. They spoke Hakka dialect and mainly settled in relatively distant and infertile regions in the New Territories. C. Boat people. It is unclear when the boat people, known as Tanka in the past, moved to Hong Kong. They spoke Minnan dialect and Cantonese. They settled along the coast of the New Territories and Hong Kong Island. Most of them lived on boats. D. Fuklo. The Fuklo were also known as the Hoklo. Around the 11th century, Fuklo from Fujian and east of Guangdong, that is, Chaoshan and Hailufeng region, settled in Hong Kong. The Fuklo spoke Minnan dialect and settled along the eastern waters of Hong Kong. Most of them lived on boats. Source 4.2 shows the 4 major dialect groups of Hong Kong: Cantonese, Hakka, Boat People, and Fuklo. 3. 5 great clans of the New Territories. A clan is a large group of families with the same ancestor and surname. The Punti, the earliest dialect group to settle in the New Territories, had about 40 clans. Among them, the Tangs, the Hows, the Pangs, the Lius, and the Mans were the most powerful. They were known as the 5 great clans of the New Territories. The ancestors of the 5 great clans mainly settled in the New Territories during the Sung and Ming dynasties. They had great economic power as they owned lots of land and many markets in the New Territories. In addition, their descendants got scholarly titles. This further enhanced their influence. Study Source 4.3 for information about the 5 great clans. Source 4.4 shows the distribution of the 5 great clans of the New Territories. History headline: The 5 great clans fight against British rule together. April 10, 1899. In 1898, Britain and China signed the Convention respecting an extension of Hong Kong's territory. The area south of the Shenzhen River and north of Boundary Street was leased to Britain for 99 years. Later, Britain called part of this newly acquired land the New Territories. This was the origin of the name New Territories. In early 1899, clashes broke out when the British officials came to take over the New Territories from villagers. On April 10th, the 5 great clans led the villagers to fight against the British, but were quickly suppressed. The British even dismantled the iron gates of Cat Hing Wai and shipped them back to Britain. 4. Lives of the 4 major dialect groups. A. Houses and buildings. The early residents of Hong Kong built villages on land, while some lived on boats. Through these historic buildings and artifacts, we can learn about their lives. 1. Cantonese and Hakka. As there were many pirates and bandits during the Ming and Qing dynasties, villagers built walls and dug moats around their villages to protect themselves. These villages were called walled villages. Today, there are about 70 walled villages in the New Territories. Most of them are situated in Yuen Long, Kam Tin, Sheung Shui, and Fanling. History Extra: Different walled villages. Walled villages in the New Territories were divided into Punti walled villages and Hakka walled villages. Ponte-walled villages were mainly built by the 5 great clans. These villages were well planned and each had a clear central axis. Lo Wai in Fanling and Cat Hing Wai in Cam Tin are famous examples. Compared with Ponte-walled villages, Hakka-walled villages were smaller in scale. Houses were built closely together to form the outer walls. Clan members and people with different surnames might live together. The Sam Tung Uk village in Chun Wan and Tsang Tai Uk in Sha Tin are famous examples. Source 4.5 is a model of the Sam Tung Uk village, a Hakka-walled village in Chun Wan. Study Source 4.6 for information about a walled village. Page 212 to 213. 1. The walled village only had one narrow entrance. It was guarded by iron gates. The name of the village was carved above the entrance. 2. The walled village was surrounded by tall, thick, and strong walls. The walls of Cat Hing Wai and Cam Tin were 18 feet tall. 3. Watchtowers were built at the corners of a walled village. Villagers used to stay in the watchtowers in rotation. 4. A moat was dug around the walled village to give more protection. It could also help lower the temperature inside during summer. 5. Ancestral halls were the most important buildings in traditional villages. See page 215. History in depth. Rule and important buildings in traditional rural villages. Rule of traditional rural villages. The district government seldom got involved in village affairs in traditional rural Hong Kong. Villagers ruled themselves according to traditional norms and customs. They would only report to the government when there were important issues. Villagers elected a village chief based on position and prestige. Other male elders helped the village chief rule the village. They discussed village affairs in the ancestral hall. Women had a lower social status than men in traditional rural society. They could not take part in decision-making related to village affairs. Source 4.7 shows the duties of a village chief in a traditional rural village. Important traditional villages buildings. Ancestral halls were the most important buildings in villages. They housed the soul tablets of the villagers' ancestors. Besides worshipping their ancestors, villagers went there to discuss village affairs, hold celebrations, and hear cases. Ancestral halls were also used as schools. Most study halls were built by particular clans or families, and were used as schools for children. Some study halls were also used for ancestral worshipping. Source 4.8 shows the structure of an ancestral hall. 1. A plaque showing the name of the clan is hung above the main entrance. 2. The entrance hall is used as a meeting room or storeroom. 3. The main hall stores the portraits of ancestors and plaques. In a large ancestral hall, this place could be used as a school. 4. The rear hall is the center of the ancestral hall. The soul tablets of ancestors are placed here. The soul tablets of important ancestors are placed in central and higher positions. 2. Boat people and Fuklo. The boat people and the Fuklo lived on boats. Some of them chose to live near the coast later on. They used wood, grasses, and iron sheets to build stilt houses. The largest number of stilt houses is gathered in Tai O. B. Major ways of living. The major livelihood activities of the residents of early Hong Kong were closely related to their living environment. 1. Cantonese and Hakka. The Cantonese built villages in the fertile plains or valleys in the new territories. They mainly farmed for a living. Later, they set up bazaars to sell farm products and other goods. Their villages were self-sufficient. The Hakka mainly farmed for a living. They also engaged in salt making, brick making, quarrying, and stone cutting. The Hakka traded in the markets managed by the Cantonese. Later, they set up their own markets in order to get rid of the control of big local clans. 2. Boat people and Fuklo. Besides fishing and oyster farming, some of the boat people and the Fuklo engaged in pearl diving to make a living. However, the practice of pearl diving had declined since the Qing dynasty. The boat people and the Fuklo also worked in the shipping industry. They shipped salt and other goods. Source 4.9 is a picture that shows villagers going to the bazaar in the new territories. Source 4.10 shows present-day stilt houses in Tai-O. Pages 216 and 217. Pages 216 to 217. Since the early 20th century, Hong Kong government has licensed these stilt houses. Source 4.11 shows salt workers in Tai-O, above, and one of the ways to make salt, right. C. Traditional education. Cantonese and Hakka villagers in the new territories were very concerned about education. They used ancestral halls and study halls as schools. They hoped that their children would pass the civil service examinations and become officials. This would bring great honor and power to their families and clans. In the past, members of the Tangs and the Hows got scholarly titles through the examinations. Traditional study halls usually hired one teacher to teach Chinese classics, history, Confucianism, and calligraphy. Parents had to pay school fees with rice and other goods. Timetables were not fixed. Students of different ages studied together. In traditional society, only boys went to school. Girls seldom received an education. Source 4.12 shows teachers and students in a study hall, above. The Kun Ting study hall was built by the Tangs in 1870, below. D. Beliefs and customs. The four major dialect groups kept many traditional Chinese beliefs and customs. Their different backgrounds and lifestyles led to the rise of the multicultural tradition of Hong Kong. 1. Ancestral worship. The Chinese tradition of ancestral worship started in the Shang dynasty, 1600 BC to 1046 BC. The main aim was to show respect to ancestors and pray for their blessings. The early residents in Hong Kong kept this tradition and held ceremonies to worship their ancestors regularly. 2. Popular religion. Besides worshipping their ancestors, the early residents in Hong Kong followed Chinese popular religion, such as the worship of Chao Wang Yi Kung, Quan Tai, and Pao Kung. The boat people and the Fuklo mainly worshipped sea deities, such as Tin Hao and Hung Shing, for a safe return from sea. Source 4.13 shows Tin Hao Temple in Joss House Bay, built in 1266, which is the oldest Tin Hao temple in Hong Kong. 3. Traditional festivals. The early residents in Hong Kong celebrated traditional festivals. See Source 4.15. For example, the boat people in the Fuklo worshipped Tin Hao at first. Later, people inland also worshipped Tin Hao. The Tin Hao Festival and the Hung Shing Festival then became popular. Hong Kong people have continued to celebrate these traditional festivals. They show the diverse culture of Hong Kong. The festivals not only unite communities, but also provide entertainment. We will study these traditional festivals and customs in the later part of the chapter. Source 4.14 shows a huge flower board celebrating the birthday of Hung Shing. Source 4.15 shows the major traditional festivals in Hong Kong. Guiding questions. What is intangible cultural heritage? What are the examples of significant intangible cultural heritage of Hong Kong? B. Intangible cultural heritage of Hong Kong. 1. Definition of intangible cultural heritage. In 2003, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, passed the Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage to raise awareness and respect for it. According to the Convention, the intangible cultural heritage refers to all intangible activities, knowledge, and skills, etc., which communities, groups, and individuals recognize as part of their cultural heritage. They pass down through generations and are constantly recreated. They bring a sense of identity and continuity to the communities. Source 4.16 shows the symbol of intangible cultural heritage of UNESCO. History decoded. Cultural heritage and intangible cultural heritage. According to the Convention for the Protection of the World Cultural and Natural Heritage, artifacts, buildings, and sites with outstanding values can be listed as cultural heritage. According to this classification, the pyramids of Egypt, the Great Wall of China, and the Eiffel Tower of France are examples of world cultural heritage. Cultural heritage is physical and material, while intangible cultural heritage is non-physical and non-material. No matter how different they are, cultural heritage and intangible cultural heritage are irreplaceable and worthy of being preserved. 2. 5 categories of intangible cultural heritage. There are 5 categories of intangible cultural heritage: oral traditions and expressions, performing arts, social practices, rituals, and festive events, knowledge and practices concerning nature and the universe, traditional craftsmanship. Pages 222 to 223 introduce some examples of the intangible cultural heritage of Hong Kong according to the above classification. Example of oral traditions and expressions. Wai Tao dialect was one of the major dialects in the New Territories. Some villagers still communicate in Wai Tao dialect and use them to conduct traditional religious ceremonies. Example of performing arts. Cantonese opera is traditional Chinese opera performed with songs and spoken lines in Cantonese. It was inscribed onto the representative list of the Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity in 2009. It has great artistic, social, and cultural values. Example of social practices, rituals, and festive events. Wong Tai Sin was a Taoist god. Wong Tai Sin belief in Hong Kong started in 1915. After a century's inheritance, it becomes popular in Hong Kong and overseas Chinese communities. Example of knowledge and practices concerning nature and the universe. Herbal tea is a popular drink in southern China. Nowadays, people still drink herbal tea to cool internal heat and to treat various health problems. It is inherited folk knowledge and traditional food culture. Example of traditional craftsmanship. Milk tea, egg tart, and pineapple bun are common in local restaurants. Their making techniques are unique and represent the local food culture of Hong Kong. 3. 4 significant intangible cultural heritage of Hong Kong. In 2014, the Hong Kong government announced the first representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of Hong Kong. The list has 4 traditional customs and festivals, including Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival, Chung Chau Jiao Festival, Tai Hang Fire Dragon Dance, Tai O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade. They are not only the representatives of local intangible cultural heritage, but also inscribed onto China's national list of intangible cultural heritage. The table in Source 4.17 shows 4 representatives of the intangible cultural heritage of Hong Kong. Guiding questions. What are the features of the Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival in Hong Kong? What changes has the festival made? C. Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival. 1. What is the Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival? The 15th day of the 7th lunar month is designated as the Ghost Festival. Some organizations hold the Hungry Ghost Festival for the entire month. Buddhist or Taoist ceremonies are performed to worship ancestors and appease wandering ghosts. The Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival has a history of over 100 years. 2. Origin and development of the festival. In the second half of the 19th century, many Chiu Chow people settled in Hong Kong. They brought with them the tradition of holding the Hungry Ghost Festival. They worshipped deities and ancestors to pray for blessings and express filial piety. They also made offerings to dead fellow villagers. After the end of the Second World War, 1939 to 1945, more Chiu Chow people moved to and settled in Hong Kong. They lived in different districts. The Hungry Ghost Festival became popular and was held all over Hong Kong. Source 4.18 gives more information about the Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival. Hong Kong holds more than 100 Hungry Ghost festivals every year. About 60% of them are held by Chiu Chow people. The Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival includes many unique features of Chiu Chow culture, such as Chiu Chow offerings. 3. Features of the festival. The Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival usually lasts for 3 days. Performing worship and making donation to people in need are the 2 main features of the festival. A. Worship deities. To thank deities for their blessings, devotees make offerings and perform devotional operas in Chiu Chow dialect. B. Make offerings to ghosts. Devotees make offerings to their ancestors and wandering ghosts. Priests chant scriptures in Chiu Chow dialect to release souls from suffering and pray for blessings for the neighborhood. C. Give alms. The organizing committee gives auspicious rice, food, and daily necessities to people in need. It accepts donations from devotees. People are encouraged to make donations. Layout of the Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival. 1. Heaven and Earth Shed. Devotees worship deities. 2. Priest Shed. Priests chant scriptures and perform rituals. 3. Ancestral Altar. Keeps the soul tablets of wandering spirits and ancestors of devotees. 4. King of Ghosts Shed. Houses the paper effigy of the King of Ghosts to maintain order. 5. Holy Robe Shed. Keeps the paper robes of deities. 6. Opera Shed. Performs devotional operas. 7. Office. Accepts donations and receives guests. Keeps a golden notice board to praise donors. 4. Changes of the festival. The Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival has been held for over 100 years. It changes to cope with the needs of the times. Materials of the sheds. Some sheds are built with aluminium strips instead of bamboo poles. This helps protect the environment and save money. Performance of opera. The devotional operas are no longer performed overnight, but end at 10 p.m. Distribution of auspicious rice. From 2005 onwards, each person can only get 1 kilogram of rice, according to government regulations. Hong Kong Hungry Ghost Cultural Festival. The Federation of Hong Kong Chiu Chow Community Organizations has organized this annual event since 2015. This helps raise public awareness of the Hungry Ghost Festival. Source 4.19 gives more information about the Hungry Ghost Festival. In the past, villagers competed for the offerings. This was known as the Ghost Grappling Competition. This traditional custom had become one of the important competition activities of the Hungry Ghost Cultural Festival. Right. 5. Significance of the festival. A. Cultural value. The Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival is not only a religious event. The rituals allow participants to pay respect to ancestors and promote filial piety. In addition, making offerings to wandering ghosts expresses the spirit of fraternity in Chinese culture. The festival contains traditional Chinese and Chiu Chow cultural values. The venue decorations and scaffolding techniques make use of traditional theory of architecture and yin-yang balance, meaning making offerings to ghosts, yin, and gods, yang, at the same time. The offerings and opera performances also carry strong Chiu Chow cultural elements. B. Social value. The Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival enhances the sense of belonging of Chiu Chow participants. Chiu Chow organizations from other districts join to hold the festival. This helps unite Hong Kong's Chiu Chow people. The festival also helps build a harmonious society through its alms-giving activities. Today, the festival has been open to the whole community. Source 4.20 shows the scaffolding techniques of sheds and the opera performances which inherit Chinese traditional skills and culture. Guiding questions. What are the features and significance of the Cheung Chau Jiao Festival? What changes has the festival made? D. Cheung Chau Jiao Festival. 1. What is the Cheung Chau Jiao Festival? Jiao is a Taoist ceremony. The Cheung Chau Jiao Festival falls on the 5th to the 9th of the 4th lunar month. The aims are to thank deities for their blessings, to make offerings to relieve the dead, and pray for peace and safety. The Changchao Jiao Festival has been practiced for more than a century. 2. Origin and development of the festival. A plague broke out on Changchao in 1894. Legends say that after the residents on Changchao carried a statue of Pak Tai in a parade, the plague soon ended. Since then, Changchao people hold an annual parade alongside worshipping ceremonies. Hailufeng people on Changchao worshipped Pak Tai at first. Later, the Cantonese and the boat people on the island also worshipped Pak Tai. Gradually, all dialect groups on the island take part in the Changchao Jiao Festival, which integrates different folk elements. Source 4.21 shows the Pak Tai Temple on Changchao, also called Yokhui Kung, below, and the statue of Pak Tai in the temple, above. One of the aims of the Changchao Jiao Festival is to worship Pak Tai. 3. Features of the festival. The Changchao Jiao Festival lasts for 5 days. Major ceremonies are held on the 2nd to the 4th day. During the festival, Changchao residents hold ceremonies to worship deities, appease the deceased, and pray for blessings. They also organize activities such as floating colors parade and bun scrambling contest. A. Worship deities. Taoist priests perform religious rites to worship deities and ask for forgiveness on behalf of the residents of the island. B. Make offerings to the dead. Taoist priests perform feeding the water ghosts and great offering to the wandering spirits ceremonies to appease ghosts from the land and the sea. C. Pray for blessings and festive events. Changchao residents hold the composite scene parade. Pak Tai and other deities are invited to join the parade to purify the island. Changchao residents also perform Qilin dance, lion dance, and floating colors parade. Bun scrambling contest is the climax of the festival. Participants scrambled for lucky buns, which symbolize peace and luck. 4. Changes of the Changchao Jiao Festival. The Changchao Jiao Festival is also known as the Changchao Bun Festival. Some customs of the festival are also changed to meet tourism and practical needs. Its religious features are fading out. Date. The date of the festival was fixed after 2001. Divination is no longer performed before Pak Tai to decide the date. Abstinence from meat. Basically, eating meat is prohibited during the festival. Nevertheless, some restaurants on Changchao would sell meat today. Floating Colors Parade. Present-day Floating Colors Parade also includes celebrities as subjects. Bun Scrambling Contest. The event was banned as bun towers collapsed in 1978. It is held again since 2005. Participation is no longer reserved for Changchao residents. Plastic buns are used and safety measures are introduced. Tactics to scramble for buns. 1. After the contest is held again, only 1 bun tower, instead of 3, is built. 2. The male and female participants with the highest points are crowned the king and queen of the buns. 3. The participant who gets the largest number of buns is awarded the prize of full pockets of lucky buns. 4. Participants are disqualified if they do not return to the ground within 3 minutes. 5. The organizing committee provides participants with safety ropes and fall protection equipment. 5. Significance of the festival. A. Cultural value. The Changchao Jiao Festival includes different folklore and religious performances. For example, the Composite Scene Parade includes Floating Colors Parade of Foshan, traditional music of Chaoshan, Qilin dance of the Hailufeng people, and lion dance of the Cantonese. The Jiao Festival also shows the Chinese tradition of deity worship. The bun scrambling contest is even more a unique activity with great cultural value. Today, the festival has become an important cultural symbol of Changchao and Hong Kong. B. Social value. After many years, the Changchao Jiao Festival has developed into a custom and festival for the whole island. People from all walks of life join together to prepare for and perform in the Changchao Jiao Festival. The organization process unites different dialect groups on Changchao and strengthens their sense of identity as Changchao people. Study source 4.22 to see how during the festival, villagers work together to prepare worshipping ceremonies, parade, and buns. Guiding questions. What are the features and significance of the Tai Hang Fire Dragon Dance? What changes has the festival made? E. Tai Hang Fire Dragon Dance. 1. What is the Tai Hang Fire Dragon Dance? Fire Dragon Dance is a performing arts relating to religion. The Tai Hang Fire Dragon Dance is held on the evenings of the 14th, 15th, and 16th of the 8th lunar month. It has a history of about 140 years. Since 2010, it has become an important event of the Mid-Autumn Lantern Carnivals in Victoria Park. 2. Origin and development of the event. Legends say that villagers of Tai Hang Village in Causeway Bay killed a python on a stormy night. A few days later, a plague broke out, and many villagers died of infection. Later, villagers paraded with the fire dragon around the village and let off firecrackers in the Mid-Autumn Festival. The plague ended after the event. Since then, villagers have performed the 3-day fire dragon dance every year to pray for peace in Tai Hang. Source 4.23 shows Tai Hang Village in the 1950s, above, and the present-day Lin Fa Temple, below. The Lin Fa Temple is the starting point of the Tai Hang Fire Dragon Dance. 3. Features of the event. The Tai Hang Fire Dragon Dance lasts for 3 days. About 300 men take turns to perform the dance, and about 70,000 incense sticks are used. A. Fire Dragon Parade. To purify the community, the fire dragon parades through the streets for the first 2 nights. New incense sticks will be put on the fire dragon. Villagers take home the old incense sticks as blessings. During the parade, the fire dragon shows different formations. Children join the parade with lanterns. B. Send off the fire dragon. The fire dragon parades through the streets again on the 3rd night. The parade ends with the dragon's return to the sea ritual, meaning sending off the dragon to heaven, which removes uncleanness in the community. Head. It is formed by wrapping pearl straw around a rattan frame. It weighs 70 kilograms. Pearls. 2 pomelos are inserted with numerous incense sticks. The dragon is prompted forwards by these glowing pearls. Body. The body is a hemp rope wrapped in pearl straw. It has 31 sections. 124 people take turns to hold the body. 4. Changes of the event. The Tai Hang Fire Dragon Dance was originally a religious event to dispel plague. Today, it is an event to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival in Tai Hang. Its ceremony has also changed to meet community development and the changes of the times. Performers. In the past, only men in Tai Hang could take part in the Fire Dragon Dance. Today, women can take part in beating drums and carrying lanterns. Uniform. From 1959 onwards, all men who take part in the Fire Dragon Dance have to wear a uniform called culture shirt. Firecrackers. The government has banned firecrackers since 1967. Food for participants. Pu RT is provided instead of congee to reward the performers' efforts. Study source 4.24 to find out more about the Fire Dragon Dance. From 2014 onwards, the organizing committee of the Fire Dragon Dance relaxes restrictions on participation in the ceremonies. It wants more people to learn this traditional culture. 5. Significance of the event. A. Cultural value. The Tai Hang Fire Dragon Dance has the features of Hakka customs. Ceremonies are carried out in Hakka dialect. Besides, the craftsmanship of making fire dragons has continued for more than 100 years. See source 4.25. It is of great cultural value. B. Social value. Tai Hang residents join together to perform the Fire Dragon Dance. Both old and new residents are also invited to join yearly. This enhances neighborhood connection between the residents of Tai Hang. People from other districts and tourists can also know more about Tai Hang through this festival. Source 4.25 shows the making of a fire dragon. Every year, over 20 masters make a fire dragon, and the work lasts for a month. 1. The fire dragon is made of pearl straw. Craft masters decide the time of making fire dragon based on the moisture of the pearl straw. 2. The dragon head is a rattan frame wrapped with pearl straw. Because of its curvy lines, the head is the most difficult part to make. 3. Craft masters use a hemp rope as the dragon's spine and wrap it with pearl straw and iron wires. Incense sticks can then be inserted into the body securely. 4. Craft masters use rattan to make a leaf-shaped tail and wrap it with pearl straw. Guiding questions. What are the features and significance of the Tai-O traditional dragon boat parade? What changes has the festival made? F. Tai-O traditional dragon boat parade. 1. What is the Tai-O traditional dragon boat parade? With more than 100 years of history, the Tai-O traditional dragon boat parade is held yearly on the 4th and 5th day Dragon Boat Festival of the 5th lunar month. The boat parade refers to the parade of deity statues on sacred sampans towed by dragon boats through Tai-O's waterways. 2. Origin and development of the event. It is said that Tai-O was hit by a plague in the late 19th century. To dispel the disaster, local fishermen placed deity statues on sampans, which paraded through Tai-O's waters. The plague eventually ended. Since then, the Dragon Boat Water Parade has become a tradition in Tai-O. Tai-O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade is organized by 3 fishermen's associations, namely Pa Teng Hong, Sin Yu Hong, and Hop Sam Tong. Their present-day members may not be fishermen and fish traders. Source 4.26 shows fishing boats, above, and the main waterway, below, in present-day Tai-O. During the event, sacred sampans parade through this waterway towed by dragon boats. 3. Features of the event. The Tai-O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade lasts for 1 day. However, related ceremonies are held the day before. Besides the parade, there are rituals to appease wandering ghosts, pray for blessings, and for divination. A. Welcome deities. The Fishermen's Associations visit temples to receive the statues of Yang Hao, Tin Hao, Quan Tai, and Hung Xing. This is known as welcoming deities. B. Parade and appease ghosts. Sacred sampans carrying deity statues are towed by dragon boats. They parade along the local waterways. People on sampans would also burn joss paper and throw water and rice to comfort the ghosts. C. Return the deity statues and divination. After the parade, the Fishermen's Associations return the deity statues to their temples. Then, the persons in charge of these associations pray to Yang Hao and perform divination about Tai-O. Picking the greens. Representatives of the Fishermen's Associations put grass into the mouth of the dragon head of the boat. It means to awake the dragon. Sacred sampans. Sacred sampans carry the deity statues and parade through Tai-O's waterways. Residents of the stilt houses alongside pray towards the sacred sampans when they pass by. 4. Changes of the event. The Tai-O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade undergoes many changes. It entered a new phase after it was inscribed onto the National List of Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2011. Route of the parade. The local waterways became narrow since the 1980s. Boats do not parade through areas where stilt houses are crowded. Expenditure. The expenditure is more equally shared among the fishermen's associations in recent years. An intangible cultural heritage. After being inscribed onto the National List of Intangible Cultural Heritage, the Tai-O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade is supported by the Hong Kong Jockey Club Charities Trust and the government. Talks and field trips are held to promote the inheritance of customs. Study source 4.27 to find out more about the Tai-O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade. Many local organizations also work with the residents of Tai-O to promote the Tai-O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade. The aim is to arouse public awareness, especially of young people, about this cultural heritage. 5. Significance of the event. A. Cultural value. The Tai-O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade and the deities involved are closely related to popular religion. In addition, It is of great value to learn about the life in traditional fishing villages in Tai O. The dragon boats in the parade show the traditional shipbuilding techniques, which are of high conservation value. B. Social value. The Tai O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade links Tai O's fishing, religious beliefs, and ceremonies together. It becomes a community activity and plays an important role in uniting the community. Different fishermen's associations and organizations cooperate in the parade. This fosters a sense of unity in the community. Moreover, the worshiping ceremonies give residents spiritual comfort and promote community stability. Source 4.28 shows the social values of the Tai O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade. Historical skills. Oral history. Oral histories are personal accounts of historical events. An interviewer uses sound or video recordings to record the conversation with an interviewee. The conversation is then transcribed into writing. Oral histories are important historical records after official records. Procedures for conducting oral history. 1. Choose interviewee. The interviewee can give rare or specific information. 2. Preparation. Learn about the background of the interviewee. Draw up questions for the interview. Open-ended questions should be used. 3. Conduct interview. Make sound or video recordings of the interview. Get the consent of the interviewee before making sound or video recordings. Respect the wishes of the interviewee. Finish the interview within 2 hours. 4. Work after the interview. Arrange the sound recordings for easy reference. Transcribe the sound recordings into writing and keep them properly. The interview should not be made public without the consent of the interviewee. Draw up suitable questions. We use the Tai O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade as an example. We interview a Tai O resident to learn more about this traditional festival. Question 1. When did you start to join the Tai O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade? Question 6. What role did you play when you joined the Tai O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade the first time? What kinds of work were involved? Question 7. What role did you play in the Tai O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade in 2018? Were there any changes in your work? Question 10. What are your views about the increasing elements of tourism in the Tai O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade? Ask about the general background first. Ask about the relation between the interviewee and the theme of the interview. Guide rather than instruct the interviewee. Ask chronological questions beginning with the earliest. Ask about the personal feeling of the interviewee at the end of the interview. G. Conclusion. History, culture, and inheritance. 1. Early history. Between the 10th and 17th centuries, the Cantonese, the Hakka, the Fuklo, and the Boat people settled in Hong Kong. These 4 major dialect groups had different lifestyles and customs. 2. Culture and inheritance. Local residents developed different customs and festivals. Among them, the Chiu Chow Hungry Ghost Festival, the Chung Chow Jiao Festival, the Tai Hang Fire Dragon Dance, and the Tai O Traditional Dragon Boat Parade all have a history of over a century. They are all related to folk beliefs and work to pray for blessings. These traditional customs have become precious intangible cultural heritage today. They not only unite Hong Kong people, but also show the culture of Hong Kong and even China. At the same time, they have made changes to meet the challenges of the times. We should be proud of Hong Kong's different kinds of culture and support their conservation and inheritance.